Benny, get the tables. It is time for the 3 Count podcast. I'm Dylan Chambers, alongside, as always, Ben Hobden. Benny, what a week in wrestling.
What a weekend. SummerSlam, massive. I am speechless after this weekend, mate. It was huge.
It was a Mark's heaven this weekend. We'll take you through our thoughts on SummerSlam soon, but first, we got to get to the biggest stories of the week and 3 huge comebacks. And we will start with one that is 7 years in the making. CM Punk making his return to professional wrestling with AEW.
Bringing back those ice creams, mate. I wonder if the crowd were all happy with that after the show, you know? You marked out hard as well. I was pretty happy for you, mate. Good to see.
I did. It was incredible for me. You know, it brought back memories of Shawn Michaels coming back in, 2002. I had the goosebumps going. The crowd was going wild, chanting his name. I thought, if they don't bring him out to start the show, they're going to riot. They're going to chant his name all show long. They brought him out right at the start. Made sense. And he sat down and did, typical classic CM Punk promo.
Yeah, it was brilliant. As I said, like you and I were back and forth, mate, nonstop. And your first words were, I hope this goes for an hour, this promo. And I was just, every CM Punk fan would have been happy to see that. Me, not so much. I'm not the biggest fan, but it was good to watch. It was the first time I tuned into Rampage as well. So, it was interesting. Good way to start, I guess.
It was good television. And so CM Punk's back to take on Darby Allin at All Out, which should be a pretty interesting match. Darby and Sting were in the rafters looking down at CM Punk, which kind of made for a cool little look in the United Center.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I don't know if Darby Allin's the right choice. They'll put on a good match. Obviously, we know that. But I don't know. It's sort of interesting for me because they're both going to sort of baby on each other. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah, just warming him up for a CM Punk Kenny Omega main event.
Won't that blow the roof off?
That would be huge. Now, as you mentioned, Benny,
he's going to be a bit green, though, mate. He's going to be a bit green.
Yeah. He's gonna have a bit of ring rust.
You there for a second.
Darby Allin might get the best out of him. He makes guys look good. He's kind of got that AJ Styles kind of quality. So
very true. Yeah, very true.
Hopefully it's a good fun match. Now we're talking about Rampage, Benny. This was your first AEW show that you'd seen. What did you think?
It was, mate. It was. I thought it was good. I think being shorter definitely helps. You don't have to sit through all of the WWE shit, which definitely helps. I love WWE and I'm a mark for it. I love it. Die hard. But just all the stuff, like we've just seen it and then previously and all that. Which leads me to the joke that Nick Khan made about making it the 4-hour show, which you told me it was going to be a 4-hour Raw show, was a joke. I thought it was serious because you never know with Vince. But all they're going to do if they made it that long would be, previously, earlier tonight. That's where they'd fill the last hour and it'd be all advertising.
Yeah.
Whereas AEW was just straight to the point, a little bit of backstage. Obviously, they've got their ads, but that's what it is. There's no flashing back. There's none of that. It's just in and out, and you're done, which is really good. That's the kind of product you want.
It's a really easy watch, and it's a good product. We saw Jurassic Express take on Private Party. Jurassic Express are so much fun to watch.
Yeah, they were really good to watch. Jungle Boy high flying around the ring, which is really good. Matt Hardy being dastardly on the outside there was interesting from the other guys. So, I liked it.
Yeah, classic. We saw Jade Cargill squash Kira Hogan, and then in the main event, old John Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, beat Daniel Garcia.
Big John Mox. He's eaten a few Big Macs since last time I seen him, the big fella. He has put some weight on.
You did text that to me during it. You were like, whoa, he's huge now.
Seriously, mate, I didn't know what to do. I was like, whoa, I was a bit put off by it. But, hey, good luck to him. He's going well.
Well, so, I'm glad you enjoyed your first AEW show. We've got Dynamite this week with CM Punk on that as well. Look, I've got this feeling they've done such a good job in setting AEW up. I'm told that the rights are mid-cycle at the moment in Australia, so the only place you can get it is on the Fight TV app. But if you haven't watched it, please do. It's a really good, fun watch.
Yeah, definitely easy watch. That's the easy, fun watch. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and we'll move away from AEW now and to.
Well, just quickly on AEW, you got Christian retiring the TNA title back on TNA the other day. That's sort of AEW related, I guess.
It is, yes. Yeah, Christian went back to the Impact Zone, and so part of being the Impact champion was you had two belts. You had the TNA Championship and the Impact Championship, and they meant the same thing. So it only made sense to get rid of one of them, which
was good. Good that he did it as well, I think.
Exactly, because he held that TNA. The last time he was in the Impact Zone, it was called TNA before they changed it to Impact. So, and he held that belt for quite a while he's there. So it was only fitting that he retired it.
Yeah, definitely. What else on the AEW? Oh, Paul White, aka, as many of our fans would know, the Big Show, returning to the ring shortly.
Yeah, to take on QT Marshall. I believe that's at All Out as well. So
All Out's going to be good. All Out's going to be massive.
All Out will be very fun. So Paul White back in the ring. Be interesting to see how mobile he is.
Look, I thought I'd talk about it, but I don't know about it too much. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be pushing for that match, but it'll be good to see him back in the ring at least.
Definitely. Now, we'll move on from AEW and we'll move on to the second huge comeback of the week, which was the man, Becky Lynch, making her surprise return at SummerSlam. Was kind of a bit...
This was my turn to mark out. I went crazy for this one. I'm a massive Becky Lynch fan. So.
They played it so well, WWE. Sasha wasn't there. You know, it's reports are she wasn't actually in Vegas for the weekend. They had about a week to figure this all out. We're not really sure what the go with Sasha Banks is. But they played it really well. They had Bianca Belair come out. Carmella came out as the replacement for Sasha Banks. The air was just taken out of the stadium. Everyone was pissed.
Deflated it.
So
everyone was like they were about to riot. Like they were literally about to riot.
So deflated. There was a little "We want Sasha" chant, but you just tell there was just nothing going in the audience. And then, and the crowd just went crazy.
Yeah, that was awesome. I loved it. Marked out hard. It was a big pop, massive pop. I've since watched a couple of podcasts with the guys that were actually there, and they said that was a massive pop. Like they hadn't heard one like that for a long time. So
fun. Another little goosebumpy moment. That was cool. So we'll talk about that actual match a bit later on in the show. But reports are from PW Insider that they're going to turn Becky heel very quickly.
Okay. I guess they could run her and Seth as a tag team as well. They could create their own little stable there.
Yeah,
if they wanted to.
So that'll be interesting. It makes sense that they move her. She was previously on the Raw roster. That they move her over to SmackDown where Seth is, and you know they can have lots of family time together with their new baby. So the third and final surprise return,
biggest of them all, I guess.
The Beast returned after the main event of SummerSlam to confront Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar.
Did not see that coming. That was crazy. And to think I almost turned it off. I was like just about to turn it off. Luckily, I didn't.
That was the beauty. No one saw it coming. There was no reports anywhere about it, which is, for the casual fan, they're not going to know that these things are happening. But, you know, for some of us who get really into it, you know, we're checking the dirt sheet, seeing what's going on. There was literally no talk about this at all.
No, I heard that not even Cole and McAfee knew about it. That's why he popped so hard himself. So if that's true, that's pretty cool.
That's brilliant. So he came out, confronted Reigns. Heyman's reaction was gold. He was just...
How good was it? He played that brilliantly.
Just
cowered in the corner with the title.
He looked like he was crying. Like
he might have been. He might. Well, if you see Brock coming at you, mate, I'd be probably crying myself.
So as we saw, you know, Reigns and Heyman slinked off the back, and after went off air, Lesnar then attacked Cena and gave him a few suplexes and an F5.
It is SummerSlam Suplex City, baby. So Cena knew he's been there before. He knows what it is. So it's all good. That's right.
The crowd would have gone crazy for that. So apparently the original idea for Lesnar coming back was to be a WrestleMania match, not even next year, but the year after, in 2023. But obviously the decision was made to fast track it, and it's looking like it'll probably either happen at Crown Jewel or Survivor Series.
Well, would that little fast track have anything to do with that shirt that's hanging behind you there, mate? Do you reckon they had to counter it somehow?
Possibly. Vince would never admit it, but I think
No, God, no. Of course not. But I mean, they had to do something. And as with the Becky one, I think that was rushed because Sasha wasn't there, which we can talk about a bit later. But I think the Brock one was definitely for CM Punk.
Yeah, I mean the Becky one was one of those, in case of emergency, break glass, and rumors were that she was going to come back in October and maybe even later than that. So they just fast tracked it, and it kind of lined up. So, Benny, any other news you have for us?
Mate, I did notice. I don't know if you noticed in the crowd, the front row during SummerSlam, there was a big "The Fiend" sign. That was pretty sick sign, but it got taken off them apparently. I heard later on. So Vince wasn't too happy with the sign being up in the crowd. Typical Vince, he does like to throw people out. So I mean, he mustn't be too happy with that going on. What else we got? We'll talk about NXT a bit later, but Adam Cole still hasn't signed. We don't know what's going on there.
So the contract's done, and there's no non-compete clause. So for all intents and purposes, he could show up on Dynamite this week.
He could definitely, that'd be crazy. I don't know if they'd do that quickly. There was talk that he's going to move up to the main roster, but that still doesn't seem to have signed anything. So his wife is over at AEW, so
and she was
a little easier for him to go over there.
She was doing the eye emoji to a lot of tweets that were going out about his final match. So take from that what you will. Now, speaking of the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, he's got a new profile picture on Twitter, and he's now changed his Twitter name to Wyndham, which is his real first name. And he threw out a bit of a cryptic tweet as well, which were, "Rock stars come and go, musicians play until they die," which was a quote from Eddie Van Halen.
What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, the picture is interesting. I mean, it looks like it could be a new kind of Fiend mask, but he's still got a non-compete clause in his contract, so it'll be a while before we see him anywhere else. It's interesting.
With the non-compete clause, does that mean that they can't even tease him or anything like that?
No,
he can't sign anywhere and anything. So, okay, interesting.
No, not at all. So it'll still be a while before we see what's going on with Bray Wyatt. But
AEW can ride the coattails of CM Punk for a year if they wanted to, and they could leave him on the sidelines. So
exactly.
We've still got Daniel Bryan as well.
Still Daniel Bryan. Still Braun Strowman's still out there as well.
His runs out this week, I think, or last week.
Yeah, still a lot of names out there. So that'll be interesting. Talking about socials again, Cena has basically confirmed that his run's over.
Yeah, apparently after Brock Lesnar fight him when he was walking out, he was giving the big waves to the crowd and stuff like that. So it's Cena, mate. He'll be back.
He'll be back at some point.
Yeah. Rumble, he might come out as a contestant at the Rumble.
That would be pretty fun.
Yeah, especially if nobody knows. If we have no clue and he just turns up, that'd be sick.
Yeah, that would be sick. We have Dark Side of the Ring returning for the second half of season 3, I believe, September 16 in the US. So that'll be September 17 over here. I'm assuming SBS will have the rights to it, so we should see it soon after then.
Yeah, you're a big fan of that deal. You sort of got me into it a little. I'd only seen bits and pieces of some of them, but I've started going back and watching them on SBS on demand now. So I mean, there's some real good stuff there. Yeah,
you'll get hooked. There was a few of them where I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get into it, and it's
even if you don't know it, like some of them, I was like, I've heard their name, but that was it. You know what I mean? So and then all of a sudden you're hooked. You start on your online, you're looking up what all about them, and
it's
having fun.
It's really great storytelling, definitely.
Yeah.
Another little tidbit that came out was Mustafa Ali did an interview, and he was saying that apparently he was supposed to win the 2019 Money in the Bank ladder match. He'd been told that day that he was going to win it. One of the entrances before him, which was Baron Corbin's entrance, was happening, and he got the call to go and see the boss. Had a chat with Vince, and Vince
you never want that call.
You don't want that call. Vince told him while the entrances were going on that it's a change, run the match exactly as you were going to, but before you grab the briefcase, Brock Lesnar is going to come out and win it. So he was told basically a minute before the match started.
Yeah, you got to feel for him. It sort of leads into that character that he really played, doesn't it? Like he really was ripped off for a lot of the stuff because he was the one that got pulled out because he got injured with the whole Kofi Mania as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, still, it's pretty crazy.
At
I
least
can't see him winning it though.
At least you can look on the bright side. I think he said that so everyone can thank him for having the Brock Lesnar boombox with the
hoodie,
with the hoodie and the
briefcase. The hoodie Brock was different. Oh, we've had hoodie Mello in the days, but hoodie Brock was a whole different thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that you got anything else in the news, Benny?
No. Look, there was a couple of things during SummerSlam, which you'll probably bring it up later, but Tiffany Haddish and Mario Lopez backstage interviews. Wasn't that some interesting stuff going on there?
Yeah, interesting.
Like Mario Lopez wearing the Bret Hart shirt, all for that Hart Foundation shirt, but he turns around and he fully dropped the WWF. I was like, oh, I don't know if you're allowed to say that these days. And then what else? Like Tiffany Haddish, she was, what did she say? Congratulations to the first national champion, Damian Priest.
Yeah. It was obviously just to get a bit of celeb FaceTime on the show, you know. Mario Lopez does know his stuff though, but
no, it wasn't. I just meant the fact that he dropped the WWF bit.
Yeah.
That was a bit, sort of shirt collar pulling. You know what I mean? But Tiffany Haddish, like pre-record it and just chuck it in. They don't need to do it live. You know what I mean? They could have fixed that pretty easily. It was a bit disappointing, but other than that, mate, I think that's about all the news at the moment. So we can sort of get into the rest of the weekend that was.
Time to jump into SummerSlam. The very first match on the card, which was on the pre-show. I don't know if you saw it, Benny.
I did.
Big E defeating Baron Corbin, got the win with a spear and a big ending to regain his Money in the Bank briefcase.
Just on Baron Corbin quickly, that was another bit of news that I did have. His socials. He went out in Vegas afterwards. I don't know if you've seen this. And he had $35. He turned it into $100. And then he turned it into $1,400. He couldn't lose on video poker. Kept rolling it at craps. And apparently now he's going to get himself a haircut, a new shirt. So that character is starting to grow on me a little bit. I think
he got the presidential suite. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. If they
do that on SmackDown, it'll be funny.
Or I mean, he's in Vegas. He could lose it all as well.
True.
So
and the thing is as well, like Pat McAfee's been giving it to him on socials. Like maybe you can buy yourself a shower and stuff like that. I was like, there's some good back and forth going on there. So I like it.
I am a fan of where this Baron Corbin character's going. But he was dissed. He was dissed by Logan Paul. Called him an asshole.
Yeah, it's probably because you're an asshole. Yeah, that's it.
Poor old Baron Corbin. But look, you know, it was a pretty good match. I gave it a 1.5.
I gave it a 1.5 count as well. Yeah, it did what it did, especially for the pre-show. I was surprised that Big E was relegated to the pre-show.
Yeah,
but
I kind of felt like it meant because we were going to see him later in the show, but I guess that wasn't the case.
Well, we don't know, do we?
Yeah. I mean, as for what's next, I guess, I don't think Big E is going to get involved with Roman and Brock. Lashley does still need a challenger, but there's still the whole Goldberg thing, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. So I don't really know what's next for Big E.
Yeah, I think he'll just sort of, the same sort of circle he's running in, like the Shinsuke, Apollo, Cesaro level, I guess.
Yeah. And as for Corbin, it's time to do something with the character now. We've seen so much of this, sad Corbin. He's so down on his luck week after week after week after week, and now's just the perfect time to do something.
Yeah, we could see him suiting up or something like that, and then like he could sort of, could take the Ric Flair sort of mantle, like jet flying, limo riding, kiss stealing. That could be pretty funny if he does that.
He's going to win really big in Vegas.
Hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened.
We'll see. We then got to the start of the actual pay-per-view. Raw Tag Team Championship. RK Bro defeated AJ Styles and Omos. Orton got the hot tag during the match, snuck out of an AJ Styles roll-up for an RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah, bro.
I
think we will. Oh, you do that so well. It's scary. I think we both picked this. We thought it was coming. I can't warm to Omos at all. I think he's terrible.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be okay, but he can't sell for anything, which we'll talk a little bit about later on from Raw today. Like, it was terrible today as well. Yeah. He's so big. They just thought, I don't know if they think he can do something because he's big, but he just can't sell. AJ's carrying him through the match. There was some good stuff between AJ and Riddle throughout the match, I thought. And then, as you said, RKO out of nowhere.
And I mean, it's a shame too, because the three of them, Riddle, Orton, and AJ Styles, are amazing. So there's the obvious weak link. I mean, I still gave it a 2 count. I thought it was still a fun match between the three of them.
Yeah, I gave it a 1.5 personally, but mainly because I took half a count off just because of him.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's nothing else to say really.
As we mentioned, this feud's going to continue on Raw. AJ Styles and Omos interrupted RK Bros celebration. Riddle ended up beating AJ Styles while Orton attacked Omos with his brand new scooter.
Yeah, the brand new scooter that he got gifted to him now that they're new champs. I just love before they went out and Randy said, "Don't do it. Don't do anything stupid." He goes, "Would I do that, man?" Like, it's just, you knew it was going to go bad. Pear shape from there.
But as you were talking about with Omos selling, when Orton was hitting him over and over again with the scooter.
Yeah. So Randy stopped hitting him with the scooter and he was still pretending to get hit with the scooter. Like, I don't know if it just doesn't hurt him. Like, he's just that big, nothing hurts him. I don't know. But if that's the case, then play that. You know what I mean? He's that big that he should get hit with the scooter and just turn around and chase Randy around the ring or something.
He needs a bit of time. That's a bit of time in the Performance Center, I think.
Well, he was down there for quite a while. Kevin Nash was working with him for quite a while down there at the Performance Center. So that doesn't say much, though. I love Kevin Nash, but he's not real good, is he? Like, let's be honest.
Hey, he looks all right in Magic Mike.
Yeah, well, yeah, he would have worked out. He didn't pull a hemi or a quad.
So the next match of the evening, we had Alexa Bliss defeating Eva Marie and coming out with Doudrop. Eva at one point got Lily. She slapped the doll, then she hit Bliss with it, which enraged Bliss. Eva asked Doudrop for help. It was ignored. Bliss hit the DDT for the win. And then just to finish things off, Doudrop got on the mic and announced that the loser of the match is Eva Marie.
That was the best part of the whole thing. The little comedic touch at the end of that wasteful match was brilliant. The way she did that, I pissed myself laughing. I thought it was gold.
It was gold. It was gold after a terrible match. I gave it a half count. It was Eva just proved
half count myself.
Eva proved what we were talking about last week, just saying, it was down to whether she can actually do anything in the ring. And she looks exactly the same as she used to in the ring.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that was a bit of
There's not really much to talk about it. I just think we cut it out of it there. Sorry, mate.
That's all right.
It's not really working too good in Sydney.
That's right. Yeah, crazy Sydney storms at the moment. But on Raw, we kind of know where Bliss is going now. She interrupted Charlotte Flair's celebration, saying she just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, me and Lily just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, so we can tell where this is going, and to be honest, I'm pretty happy with it.
I don't mind it. I like it. I think you're going to lead to. Can you lead to a little Nikki ASH being the good guy and Alexa being the bad guy sort of thing?
I thought that's where they were going to go at one point, but they're obviously going with Bliss in the title picture, which, yeah, I'm okay. It's just time to move away from love Rhea, love the Aussie.
Even Rhea as well, yeah. I agree.
Too many times in the championship match. So also on Raw, we saw Eva attack Doudrop. Doudrop doing an interview saying she's decided to keep the name Doudrop, which is an interesting one, but she got rammed with a road case by Eva.
Yeah, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah, it did actually.
I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty forceful when she hit her with that. But
Eva may have had help.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So obviously
put that match in the rear view. Well, obviously we're going to get Doudrop versus Eva. I don't know where that's going to go.
No, it's going to be a squash match at some point.
From that and see where we get.
I mean,
Yeah, in more ways than one.
I think they could probably eke it out till the next pay-per-view and just have Eva being dastardly week after week after week, so the crowd just wants to see her get smashed and give it to us on a pay-per-view. So
fair enough.
That's where I think that'll go. We then had the United States Championship match where Damian Priest defeated Sheamus to become the new United States Champion. Priest was in a heel lock. While he removed Sheamus's mask. Then he hit him with a spinning heel kick and the Reckoning to win the title. Not a bad little match. I gave it 1.5.
I gave it 1.5 counts. I thought it was a good match. There were some good spots in the match. Sheamus hit the white noise off the top rope, which was pretty cool at one stage. Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Priest, I'm still not that warm on, but I mean, he did the job. And Sheamus is an ever professional. He knows what he's doing in there. So he sort of carried it a little bit through the match, I thought.
Exactly. Yeah. As for what's next, I'm not really sure. I mean, both were involved in a tag match with McIntyre and Lashley on Raw, where Sheamus ended up losing to McIntyre. So maybe Drew gets involved in the feud somehow. But
well, Priest came out and called out Lashley at the beginning of Raw today. So that was interesting to see. Champion versus champion, that was never going to happen. We know that Priest isn't up to that level of champion versus champion. So it turned into a bit of a schmoz with Sheamus attacking, which led to the tag match you just mentioned. So
it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Hopefully they can do something better than what Sheamus did with the title. We then move on to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. The Usos defeating Ray and Dominic. Ray went for a frog splash. Jimmy got the knees up. Two brothers sandwich Ray with some super kicks, and then Jay hit the splash for the win. Good fun tag match. I gave it a 2 count.
Yeah, I literally wrote down fun match for what it was. I gave it 1.5 count. I did like the little ode to Eddie when he went for the frog splash. Gave him the little shimmy before he got smashed with the knees when he landed.
We saw the Three Amigos as well.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Fun. Fun's probably the best word for it.
Yeah.
Predictable, I thought. Ray still had to carry the match. Dominic's really not up to that level yet. He could be. There's glimpses of what he could be.
Yeah,
I think, but he's just...
He does have that feel for the ring where
I think
you can tell he's kind of grown up with it.
Yeah, he's definitely been around it the whole time. My biggest disappointment was that he didn't come out with that blonde hair from the SummerSlam 2000 match that we were talking about earlier last week. But obviously it's going to lead to Ray versus Dominic at some stage.
You can see that
listening to him.
The cracks are starting to form.
Him to do and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
the cracks are starting to form. Dominic's getting a bit ahead of himself, a little bit cocky. Ray keeps trying to pull him back. So, you kind of see at some point it's going to be, I don't need you anymore, Dad, or something like that.
Yeah, and like you said, Dominic will be the one that turns heel as well.
Yeah, definitely time for a new challenger for the Usos. While all these matches with the Mysterios have been great, it's time for something different. Street Profits, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Street Profits would be good. Bloodline, they're just going to keep the titles for now, though, I guess.
I think so. I think they'll hold them for a little while. We then had the SmackDown Women's Championship match, as we spoke about earlier. Belair made her entrance. We were informed Sasha was not competing. Carmella was introduced, and then Becky's music hit. She took Carmella out of the ring, challenged Belair. The match started, and Lynch went to shake Belair's hand. As soon as she had the hand, she knocked her out, then hit her with a manhandle slam for the win, and a quick kind of squash match to make Becky the new SmackDown Women's Champion.
Squash. It was so surprising. Like, we couldn't believe it when we were talking about it on the day. 26 seconds apparently is the official time.
Wow.
So
that's
crazy.
I gave it
how much they've been building Belair up.
Yeah, I gave it a 0 count because it wasn't a match.
Yeah. I literally have written here, I marked out hard over the swerve, and then I said I can't really give it a count rating, but I'll say half a count just because the man is back.
Yeah.
So that's the best I can do for that.
So obviously it wasn't a match. It didn't really need to be a match. I thought it was interesting that they went that way in just squashing Bianca Belair, but I feel like we'll see a good feud out of it. Obviously Sasha could still come back in the picture, a good triple threat match maybe. As we said, reports Becky's going to turn heel, so That's a tough one. I don't know how they're going to get the crowd to go against her at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, she's too hot, I guess.
Yeah. So
unless if they turn a heel, I can't see it. Belair heel turn to be sick.
yeah.
That'd really throw a spanner in the works.
I mean, you don't even have to necessarily have Becky as a heel. Just have her doing her whole look. I'm better than everyone. I'm the man shtick. If it rubs people the wrong way, it does. But I think the crowd's going to want to like her no matter what.
Yeah, I agree.
We then had a bit of a waste of time of a match, singles match between Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal. Another squash match. Claymore, game over. Veer and Shanky came out to try and use the numbers to their advantage after the match had finished. And Drew grabbed his sword and they all ran out.
He nearly chopped his head off, to be honest. But I mean, he's lucky he dropped pretty quick. I gave it a half count for what it was, to be honest.
Me too.
I thought they had a real chance they could have just sort of pushed Jinder a little bit here. Not necessarily pushing him for the victory or anything like that. Like, I'm not saying give him the win, but just let him get his stuff in, let him get a bit more over, let Drew come back and fight back from something, and then you can push Jinder somewhere after that.
I mean, he's a former champion. You can't just have him getting squashed like that. It was...
Well, I guess as it's 2 squashes in a row. Like, we just had Belair, who's been pushed up so high, get squashed. Jinder's not as big as Belair is at the moment, so I guess the squash makes sense. But just for me, I just wanted to see something different.
Yeah. Me too. I mean, I actually picked Jinder to win it, so...
Did we mentioned that at the time?
Yeah, not a great pick for me. As for what's next, I mean, we saw Jinder, Veer, and Shanky. They attacked Mansoor in a match on Raw. So I have a feeling this Jinder Drew thing may be done. And as we mentioned, Drew in the match with Priest and Sheamus. So maybe he'll get thrown in the US title picture.
Interesting. Yeah.
He can't go for the...
It's weird because he can't go for the title. So, I mean,
can't go for the main title. So, he wants gold. It's got to be the US, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, we then move on to the Raw Women's Championship Triple Threat match where Charlotte Flair defeated Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley. We saw some double teaming by Ripley and Nikki get turned into a double DDT by Charlotte. Then a huge corkscrew moonsault by Charlotte.
That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
I thought Nikki was going to be knocked out. She got hit by the moonsault.
Yeah.
Back of the head into the railing. So I was pretty impressed that she didn't get knocked out. But got back in the ring. Flair dodged a Nikki crossbody, locked in the figure 8, and Nikki tapped out. 1.5 count I gave this one.
I gave it a 2 count just for a couple of those spots and stuff like that. Like, sort of pushed it a little bit up for me. I was disappointed as well with how they could have booked it a little bit better. I think they're still pushing Charlotte on us too much.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to force us with that title reign thing down our throat. But this was the other thing that I thought as well. Did they need Charlotte to win the title because Becky has just won the title? Like, are the USA executives just in there just going, well, we can't have Becky have a champ over there and Nikki ASH as our title holder, considering where the brand, Raw's the name brand, you know what I mean? Possibly.
I mean, I feel like, USA keeps getting screwed over and Smackdown keeps getting everything.
Well, Smackdown's proven that they're the better product.
It's Cena. Now they're going to get Brock Lesnar. So Fox must just be loving it.
Well, Fox is laughing all the way to the bank at the moment with what they've got going on.
So poor old Raw is now the B show.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned before, Bliss came out and interrupted Flair. So looks like that's going to be the new feud coming up. And Nikki and Rhea took on Nia and Shayna on Raw. So it could be forming a tag team to go for the women's tag team championship.
Is Rhea going to become a superhero?
Superhero in training, maybe.
Oh, could you imagine if they did that to her after being champ, WrestleMania moment, and they just put that onto her? That'd be hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a fan, but I'm a fan of her not being in the title picture, poor old Nikki ASH.
Yeah, I agree. Again, we've got to stop agreeing on stuff, mate. This is getting a bit too much.
Yeah, I know. Not good at all.
I feel like we're both about to agree on the next match, though.
I think we probably will. The next match was Edge defeating Seth Rollins. Now, Edge, entrance of the night.
Epic.
Came out to the Brood theme, came up out of the out of the ground, surrounded by fire, had the shades on that to remind me of like the old Arnett's, with the old trench coat on. Looked fantastic, and then he still got the pop for his regular theme as well.
Yeah, until they zoomed the camera in, he actually looked younger as well.
Yeah,
it was felt like I was back like early 2000s, late 90s. Like it was really good.
it was.
I guess they preempted it and stuff with the brood bath on SmackDown last week. So, right. But even though we thought it was coming, soon as like you heard that music and him just elevate, that was epic.
It was. That was good fun, and the cameraman did a great work. You know, half of it was just showing Rollins in the ring, just like,
yeah,
what is going on? Brilliant match. You know, some great moves. Rollins going for a pedigree, being counted into a glam slam by Edge, spear through the ropes. Match ended. Rollins went for a stomp, got counted into a crossface. Rollins escaped that. Then Edge smashed his face into the mat a few times, locked in a sleeper, and Rollins tapped.
Yeah, look, I thought, as I said, brilliant match. I gave it 2 3/4 count.
Oh, wow.
It just kicked out just before the 3 count for me. It was a brilliant match. They both went into their old kit bags. Both, as you mentioned, he hit the Glam Slam, which was obviously for Beth Phoenix. He hit the old execution, like he locked in everything. You know what I mean? It was real old school. And Seth hitting the pedigree. He turned the spear into a pedigree. That was pretty cool with that counter as well. That was awesome. The only thing that it was sort of the narrative of the back of the neck was just we talked about it. Just too much.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that sort of ruined it a little bit, but I still enjoyed it massively.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave it 2.5. I think it was, for me, I gave it equal match of the night. But it was close to being match of the night. But
for me, it was equal. For me, it was match of the night, but only just.
Yeah, only just. Now, as for what's next, I think we'll see Edge taking some time off. But I'm not sure what they do with Rollins here.
I think Edge rocks up on SmackDown. I think he'll be there.
Yep.
Oh, either he'll be there or Seth Rollins is going to go into a worse tailspin. He's going to do this. He's going to go further into this character about how he deserves it and whatever.
I was thinking of what could be fun and what's out there for Rollins. Finn Balor's there now. That could be good. Both trying to get a shot at the title. KO's still there. That could be fun. So
obviously, I was hoping for Adam Cole, baby, but we don't know if that's happening. So
that would be a brilliant match. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon now. We now move on to the WWE Championship match. Bobby Lashley defeated Goldberg.
Can we skip it? Can we just skip it? Like, who cares?
Look,
sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So MVP struck Goldberg in the leg with a cane, and Lashley just concentrated on the leg, ramming it into the ring post, chop blocking him until the ref called the match off. Goldberg's son jumped in the ring on Lashley's back from behind. Lashley threw him into the hurt lock, as if he didn't really realize who it was. And then MVP got on the mic and insisted Lashley couldn't have known that it was Gage, and as Goldberg checked on his son. So, look, I gave it a 1 count.
I gave it half count.
I gave it a 1 count because of the storytelling of the match. Like this isn't the match that we signed up for. The next match is going to be the one.
Yeah. The thing for me, I think, was I honestly thought for a second that Goldberg was actually injured. I thought there was a case there.
He looked like he was trying to put his knee back in place at one point.
Yeah, and then when they showed the replay of MVP hitting him with the cane, he hit him, and then he didn't feel it until like 10 seconds later.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, it was interesting. It's all leading to the next match. Lashley, as we mentioned, had a match with Damian Priest, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre, and it just kind of smells of we're waiting for Goldberg to get over his injury.
Which will be in October for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, he's got 1 match left on his contract. Crown jewel. Makes sense.
They give him the title, Big E cashes in, then he doesn't have to hold the title.
There you go. That makes sense.
He's one last gets his one match in. You know what I mean? Otherwise, if they give him the title again, it's just annoying.
Yeah, it happens too many times.
I think I said it to you on the day as well. He got a little bit of creative control, I think. So that's probably, he didn't want to eat the pin, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess it makes sense leading into the next match. So the last match on the card, the main event, Universal Championship match between Roman Reigns and John Cena. Reigns looked in control for the most of the match, and the way I thought it was, he's running a clinic in smugness.
Yeah, he was just... but the way he continued to find the camera, and he was given mini promos like throughout the match, I thought that was brilliant.
It was just like, this guy, really? Like,
this is the guy you want? Like,
he thinks he's going to beat me like that?
Yeah.
It was brilliant. I mean, and
it tied in with that whole John Cena 1, 2, 3 thing, because Cena kept rolling him up. All the crowd was like popping for every time, you know what I mean?
And so, I think it was after like the second one, I was like, is he just going to keep doing roll-ups for the whole match?
Yeah, that's his only move. He's just out there for 1, 2, 3.
But it was a great match. I mean, Reigns ended up surviving a 5-knuckle shuffle, an AA through the announce table, an AA off the top rope, and kicked out of everything.
Yeah, numerous Superman punches there for Cena to finally go down, and it was a brilliant match.
Yeah, three Superman punches he got, and then a spear for the win. And as we mentioned, while he was celebrating the win, Brock Lesnar's music hit and came down to confront Roman and Heyman. So yeah, it was brilliant match. I gave it another 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 for me. 2.5 for me as well. Obviously, I could have probably given it a bit more with the Brock entrance and everything else, but I kept that separate from mine.
Fair enough. Big Match John lived up to his name.
Yeah, definitely. You wouldn't have think that he's been out of the ring for as long as he has been either.
No.
There was a few little things in there, but I mean, you're not going to nitpick the match at all from his perspective.
They told the story so well.
I completely agree.
As for what's next, it's kind of pretty obvious.
I tagged.
Pretty obvious what we've got coming up next. We've got Lesnar and Reigns, which is either going to be Crown Jewel or Survivor Series, and then obviously Cena's done for now.
For now, he'll be back.
He'll be back. Now, that was SummerSlam. Such a fun pay-per-view, nice and long as you'd expect.
Yeah. It was 4 hours on the dot, I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. I was expecting it to go a bit longer, but I think the first half of the show went really fast. Yeah,
that's true. It really did. I was cooking spaghetti bolognese at the time, and I think I missed half of one of the matches. I had to go back and rewatch it. SummerSlam, great. We move on to the next night, which was NXT Takeover 36. Now, we saw a few things happen.
Just before we move on, Dill.
Yep.
Just wanted to give a shout out to my mate, Mark Prince. He's a good listener of the show. Now, we were meant to catch up and have a couple of Cooper's Greens for the show, but obviously COVID, we couldn't do it. So we had to text each other, similar to what you and I were doing. So I just want to give him a shout out. He also wanted me to tell you, your little pipe bomb last week on the preview show. Loved it. He's a big fan. Looks forward to hopefully being on the show one day, mate. So
I'm glad.
Keep him in your thoughts.
Thank you, Mark.
He loved the CM Punk's.
I'll see if I can drop another pipe bomb for you soon, Mark. Maybe it'll be on Benny.
Well, hey, I'll shut my mouth. It's all right. Let's keep going. I've got one working for you, mate.
So NXT Takeover 36, we saw Cameron Grimes defeat LA Knight to become the $1 million champion. Now, Grimes is interesting.
To the moon.
I'm not sold on him, but
nah.
A lot of NXT fans love him. His whole to the moon shtick and
that works. That's off. Like they love that.
I mean, he's great in ring too. But the character just hasn't sold me.
He was trying to lock in the $1 million dream and he just couldn't. It looked so sloppy for mine.
Yeah.
But then, funnily enough, when Ted DiBiase locked it in on the outside, it looked even worse. So I just couldn't. I was like, no wonder if he's learning off him, then that's where it's going. Yeah.
So we then saw Raquel Gonzalez defeated Dakota Kai. And then after that, Kaylee Ray appeared. Kaylee Ray, for those who don't know, is the longest running NXT UK Women's Champion. So that'll be an interesting little feud. Then we saw Ilya Draganov take on Walter in what was easily the match of the night.
What a match! What a match! That's the second big, because they had a match 10 months ago that was like epic as well. And this surpassed that one. This was amazing.
It was brilliant. I mean, even if you don't know these two guys,
which I don't personally that much, like I just watched it.
It doesn't matter. It was still just a great match, bell to bell. And Ilya Dragunov ended up becoming the new NXT UK champion. Walter has held that belt for quite a while, so that was interesting.
Crazy, great match.
We then had what I was hoping was going to be the match of the night. Fell a little bit flat for me. It was Kyle O'Reilly defeating Adam Cole, baby, 2-1 in the 2 out of 3 falls match. Look, it was a good match. I think I just expected more because I know Adam Cole can produce some incredible matches.
One question: do you think they were short for time a little bit?
Possibly.
I feel like that first match with that should have been the best match for me.
Yeah.
The one with just a normal match should have been their best match, but it was too short. It was a roll up. Like it just fell flat for me. The street fight part was good, and then they did the whole injury for Kyle O'Reilly that I thought, oh, is it real? Is it not real? There was no X's thrown up, but then they brought out the medical team. So I thought, oh, maybe it is. And then he just got attacked again. And then, yeah.
I thought they could have sold him being handcuffed to the cage a little bit longer, have Adam Cole ready to, almost 1 foot down to winning the match and then coming back in and wanting to give him more punishment.
Being smart or something like that. Yeah.
But so that was an interesting match, and obviously Adam Cole is now Gonski's did his honors on the way out.
We knew who was going to win, to be honest. So it wasn't a surprising ending, but I think because we all knew that, they could have done something really good with it, and they just did. They fell flat there.
Yeah, and another interesting one was the main event: Samoa Joe defeating Karrion Kross to win the NXT title. He's the only 3-time NXT champion now.
Yeah. I thought it was a good match.
It was a good fun match.
It's just hard to believe that Karrion Kross was so dominant over Samoa Joe, considering his previous roles on Raw, where he's been like struggling against Jeff Hardy. Yeah. Like how can you, considering Samoa Joe when he was on the main card was fighting for the title?
That's right.
It's just, again, it comes to that disconnect between Raw and NXT, that if you don't watch it all, then that makes sense. But if you do watch everything like us, then it falls a bit flat. It
just doesn't really work. So Karrion Kross then went and had another match on Raw this week, now that he's lost his title.
With his new ring gear?
His new ring gear. I don't think they even mentioned him losing the title on Raw.
That's what I'm saying. There's just the disconnect. There's just nothing there.
So that was interesting. He beat Ricochet, though. So that was it for NXT TakeOver. There's a few other notes.
Dominated him.
Dominated Ricochet. There's a few other notes. There was one thing at SummerSlam which we didn't mention. It was a Miz and Morrison segment where they were talking about the Dripstick 2000, which is interesting. 2000.
Do they know it's? I was going to say, do they know it's 2021? Like
2000 is a long time ago.
After we found out on Raw today, he did want to call it the Mystic 2000.
The Mystic, yeah. So they were supposed to bring out this huge dripstick. Neither of them did. They said they forgot it. Xavier Woods came out dressed as Razor Ramon. It was brilliant.
Hey, yo. That was brilliant. And the outfit was so good, like the curl. It was terrible, but it was good.
Had the curl, had the stick in the mouth, and did the survey says thing, which I haven't heard in so long.
Yeah,
great.
One more for the good guys.
One more for the good guys. With a New Day Rock shirt, which looks a lot like NWO, which is now on WWE Shop. So
it is. It's already up. I did notice that today. I went on there quickly just to have a quick look to see if it was up. So might be a purchase in the future.
So Xavier came out with the Dripstick 2000, sprayed the crap out of Miz and Morrison. Then the next night, not the next night, 2 nights after, on Raw, Moist TV happened with Logan Paul, which led to an argument between Morrison and The Miz, got interrupted by Xavier Woods again. Woods and Miz had a match, bit of kerfuffle going on. Miz ended up losing because Morrison stuffed up a bit of an interference with the dripstick. And after the match, Miz finally attacked Morrison. We saw the turn.
Yeah, it finally came. He did lose it. They'll put on a good match going down the track, but
it'll be good fun. Yeah. It's interesting to think of. I mean, usually when you have these tag teams that break up, they're generally face tag teams, and one turns on the other and becomes a heel. So it's kind of different to see a heel tag team with one breaking off.
Yeah, I don't know if the crowd's going to warm to Morrison or not. They might. They hate the Miz enough that they probably will.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's brought back the whole "when my hand goes up, your mouth goes
shut." Yeah,
he brought that, which is brilliant for the crowd.
It's one of the better things that he had going on.
So yeah.
On the obviously the New Day Rocks outfit and stuff like that, I was saying to you, hopefully they do a Big E, Kofi. They come out as the whole NWO. That'd be pretty cool.
And I also said once Big E has the title and he can play it like a guitar, that would be pretty fun. So, Benny, that's it for a big week in wrestling. We'll be back next week to look at what's happening in the wrestling world, and we're going to preview All Out, which is going to be our first pay-per-view that we're going to cover for the podcast. Thanks for joining us. As always, make sure you hit us up on socials. We love to hear from the peeps. At 3Count Pod on Twitter and Facebook, at 3Count Podcast on Instagram, or email us 3countpod@outlook.com. Benny, thanks for joining us once again.
Pleasure as always, Dill. Massive weekend. I look forward to next week for AEW All Out.
And we'll see you next week on the 3Count Podcast.